This episode of Breaking Down the Ring is brought to you by Chawla Legal Group Estate Planning. Estate planning is for everyone. Whether you're worth $4,000 or $40 million, estate planning can help protect you, your family, and your assets while you're alive and well. To register for an upcoming workshop today, go to chawlalegal.com/workshops or call 586-273-7157. Again, that's chawlalegal.com/workshops or call 586-273-7157.
What the rock is cooking.
You're listening to the Podcast Detroit Network. Visit www.podcastdetroit.com for more information.
Oh, this week in wrestling started off amazing after our show, and then quickly took one of the biggest shits wrestling has ever seen. We're going to get into Hell in a Cell. We'll get into the mundane Night Raw. And then, of course, we're going to talk about the WWE Draft that started on Friday Night SmackDown on Fox, as well as the Wednesday Night Wars between AEW Dynamite and WWE's NXT. Ratings are down tremendously. We're going to get into all that and more this week as we
break the ring down.
Woo! You don't know what hard times are, Daddy.
The cream will rise to the top. Oh, yeah.
Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass. You just made the list. This right here is a family.
Hey, this is professional wrestler and professional podcaster Colt Boom Boom Cabana.
My name is Killer Cross.
This is The Smoke Show, Scarlett Bordeaux.
What's up, guys? The After Machine, Brian Cage.
This is Ryan from Pro Wrestling Tees.
Sadly, you are not listening to The Art of Wrestling, but you made a decent choice because you're listening.
You are now listening to...
And you're listening
to
Breaking Down the Ring.
Breaking Down the Ring.
Breaking Down the Ring.
Breaking Down the Ring.
Breaking Down the Ring. Break it down.
Oh, it's true. It's damn true.
Ladies and gentlemen, you are listening to the most inappropriate pro wrestling show in the motherfucking world. You're listening to Breaking Down the Ring. We are your ring crew.
The returning whole fucking Joe.
El Nast.
And me, the almighty one, Mikey himself. Smitty's on his way. He's working at CP time real heavy today.
He was coming down the street at 10:55. So.
Yes, and he's still not here.
It's a long street, guys.
Yeah, we even started 10 minutes late, and he's still wasn't here. So, holy shit. But there's a lot to talk about this week, man. Hell in a Cell started off like one of the greatest fucking pay-per-views WWE was going to put on this year, and it ended with a complete fucking shit show. We're going to get into that. The WWE Draft happened on SmackDown. Started on SmackDown. We'll continue on Raw. We'll go into a little conversation of where we think the rest of the superstars going. We'll talk about who won this draft so far, who's winning this draft so far, and why. Plus, AEW Dynamite and NXT went up against each other with major shots fired on AEW's show. And we're going to get into a whole bunch. But first off, let's talk Hell in a Cell. It's obviously the biggest thing of the week. It pissed a lot of people off. But before we go into what pissed everyone off, I want to talk about the beginning of this show. The first match, the women's Hell in a Cell match for the Raw Women's Championship, Becky Lynch and Sasha Banks. A lot of people were starting off saying this is going to be so hard to top. It's the match of the night. I personally thought Sasha versus Becky can be a match of the year contender. That's how good it was. Nas, how did you feel about it? Everything at the beginning of that pay-per-view, that match.
Watching it, I mean, obviously it's the first match on the card, but just watching it, by the end of it, you're like, this is the best. This is going to be the best match on the card. There's, like you were saying, there's just no way to top it. And throughout the night, that became clearer and clearer.
Right.
In fact, it probably should have been the last match.
No way.
But No, it was a good start. Very good start. Very good match. They definitely exceeded my expectations.
Joe, how did you feel about that match?
I pretty much agree with the masked man over here. It's the way you want to start off the show hot. Unfortunately, you want to even if you're starting to show off hot like that, you still want to try to build from that, and they were not successful in that.
No, I was saying that the way that match started off, Hell in a Cell started up way up here, and then the next match it kind of like lowered a bit, and then just kind of plateaued throughout.
You can have your next match lower, but then you need to bounce. They were not successful in pulling that off.
Yeah, any wrestling pay-per-view, any wrestling show should start off with that great build, like a roller coaster. You got that great build up to the top, and then of course there's drops.
It gets the crowd going right out the gate. You know, they're already excited.
Agreed, wholeheartedly, man. So when you have all of that going on, but just talking about Becky and Sasha, things were done in that cell that I hadn't seen before. The way Becky put that chair up in the corner and braced it with kendo sticks just to put Sasha on it and drop kick her ass. I was like, that was different. I've never seen that. But it also, if you harken back to the last women's Hell in a Cell match, so last year, Charlotte and Sasha Banks, right? A lot of people were like, man, these girls might not be ready for something this fucking hardcore, because Sasha and Charlotte were not that great, right? There was that spot through the table that was kind of weird and things like that. But this match, top to bottom, the physicality, the brutality, and the psychology that went into this match were, in my eyes, some of the best ring work that we have seen from not only those two, but the agents in the back who helped put this match together.
I was just going to ask you, do you think that is a Heyman-Bischoff thing? Because they have more...
They're not agents, though.
Yeah, but are they giving the women, or just the superstars in general, are they giving them more creative freedom in the ring so they can do stuff like this? Like, maybe Sasha and Charlotte wasn't that good because they were kind of restricted on what they could do, whereas Becky and Sasha were given the green light. Just go out there and make something happen. I
personally think it's a Charlotte thing. I would love to say that people were holding the women back last year, but... And it's not I'm trying not to knock Charlotte, because I think Charlotte is obviously one of the upper echelon women and one of the upper echelon wrestlers, period. Fuck women. One of the upper echelon wrestlers in wrestling today. I think she is really fucking good, really athletic, really sound. But the way Sasha went at it this year, and it could have been a little bit of Sasha last year too, but Becky doesn't give a fuck, man. So Becky wants to go. Becky moves. Becky punches through. Becky wants the physicality, the brutality. And anything that she's ever done leading up, being social media, any of the matches that she's gone through, Becky has gone all out. Is it always working for her benefit? Nope. Sometimes she falls flat in her face, but she still goes at it. I think that this was more Becky and Sasha wanting to be better and show that they're better than just about anybody else in wrestling today, when Charlotte's just kind of like, oh, let's kind of take it easy. And again, this is a whole 100% personal opinion. I don't fucking know. It could have just been it didn't work because they didn't gel, right? Even though Sasha and Charlotte have had some amazing matches together, that one we were just like, it seems like these girls are just trying to hold back. So it may have been that. It could be the agents, but I honestly think it's more the performers and what they're willing to do in that ring, especially with setting up that chair. Like, dude, there was innovative things in there that you had never seen in a Hell in a Cell before.
Well, right, but also, I mean, with the women being just smaller in stature in general.
Stature?
That's what I meant when I say statue.
Yeah, statue.
Yeah, sorry.
This
English language is getting to me. But with Sasha being so small, it's easier to set her up on a chair than it would be to set up, say, like Seth Rollins or Roman Reigns.
Sorry, Smitty said he just got pulled over.
I was just wondering if you guys seen that. I mean,
what's the most Smitty thing?
Even in an Uber,
Smitty could do.
The black guy still gets pulled over.
This is why Joe didn't want him riding with him on the way to Chicago. Where are you going? I got a phone call. Fucking new guy shows up to the show and he's already just leaving in the middle of it.
Right. I didn't know, like, Mexican phones got service here.
They do, I promise.
All right.
Joe, how did you? So, were you like? What would you rate that match? Because me, I'm thinking it's like a match of the year, if not top 5, top 10 contender. Where are you putting that match?
I'd give it a solid 8 out of 10.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the girls were definitely quite ingenuitive with their cage engineering there, and the little contraptions they were putting together with the kendo sticks and the chairs. Definitely haven't seen that before. And I mean, just the physicality in general. I mean, you could tell. I mean, a lot of the stuff they were doing looked pretty painful to me.
Mm-hmm.
You could tell they were totally giving their bodies to this match. So anytime I see performers do that, they automatically gain my respect.
And with the start of it, with Becky grabbing the fucking chain right off the bat, not letting them lock it, and then using it to beat up, to punch Sasha in the gut. You know, I haven't. I can't, or at least I can't remember anyone grabbing the chain right away, not allowing it to be locked, and then locking it.
No,
themselves.
there are a lot of things they did in that match that haven't been done in Hell in a Cells before, so that's pretty sweet too.
And like even the chain itself, you just think, you're like, man, that is just something small and simple. How did no one ever use that before?
Triple H used it one time. Not right off rip, but like they were coming back or going out of the cage and they were going to lock it and he wrapped it around his fist and used it.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? Like they've done spots like that.
But to start it off and with the physicality and the brutality, Nas, how would you rate that match? Joe just said he'd give it an 8 out of 10. What would you rate it?
It'd be between an 8 and a 9, so 8.5.
Yeah, I think I'm around the same thing, 8.59. Do either of you think that that's a match of the year contender in 2019? Joe, we'll start with you.
No. I mean, could be top 5 or 10, but not match of the year.
What do you think is a match of the year?
I'm not sure that we've seen it yet, but I do think that there's a couple that we've seen that have topped that. And if you ask me to name them right now off the top of my head, I can't.
I was going to say, I'm going through the same problem.
But I know that there are.
But see, that's my point then, because I was trying to.
I mean, okay, so I Cody and Dustin might have topped that just in the emotion that it brought out of the viewer.
Also a really good match. Yeah.
You know, and that was only, a 12, 15-minute match?
Yeah.
You know, a lot of juice, but not a lot of gimmicks. Just pure, I'd say that would top it just in pure emotion alone.
Okay.
And, yeah, like you said, good work right in the ring. That was great.
Yeah.
I mean, Dustin at 50 years old, it's still at the top of his game.
Right, when he hit the fucking Canadian Destroyer.
He's like ageless.
What?
Like, he's amazing in the ring still. So smooth.
Nas, would you put it as a match of the year contender? Like me, obviously, if you say in top 5, that's still really fucking good.
I would say it's a match of the year contender simply because it was so good and so new. So now it's fresh in everybody's minds.
Mm-hmm.
Like right now, we know there's matches out there that were probably better than this one, but we can't think of them right now because this is the freshest in our mind. Just like you go to Battle of the Bands, normally the last band that plays wins. It's just how it goes. That's who people remember. So yeah, I mean, I think it's in contention. I think that's not a bad thing to say, but do I personally think it was match of the year? No, but I don't know what my match of the year is yet because I'd have to look at them all and then decide.
The Cody and Dustin is one that was on my mind as well, Joe. I'm looking at this match and I understand that everyone's like, oh, it's fresh and new, but at the same time, a match of the year should be something that completely, fully stands out to you. And if I'm thinking of any matches that completely stand out to me, there is the Cody and Dustin one. There is definitely this Sasha Banks and Becky Lynch one. There's, the Kofi one at WrestleMania, which was a very solid match, for him and Daniel Bryan. There is definitely the women's match, the triple threat main event match at WrestleMania stands out because of another emotional aspect, just for the fact that the 3 women are in there. Granted, a lot of shit talk about the finish of it because Ronda's shoulders were kind of up because of the cut that she had, so she couldn't plan herself fully the first time, and that's more on the referee than anything else. But as far as solid overall match, I really do think Becky and Sasha are a legitimate contender, definitely top 5.
Yeah, but you're also missing NXT, where you got Gargano and Cole 1, 2, and 3 that were all really good.
See, I liked Gargano and Cole 3 way more
but
than
right. But what I'm saying is,
I haven't even seen it yet, but from the last NXT UK, I heard Tyler Bate and Walter just absolutely killed it.
Yeah, I totally
and
forgot about
I've
that
been
one.
meaning to watch it, and I will watch it, but I haven't yet.
But yeah, so I mean, there's stuff even going on in NXT UK, because even Pete Dunne and Walter was a great match. And
Yeah.
Then you got Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate 3, which happened this year. The other 2 happened last year.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, there's a lot of good matches elsewhere as well.
Right.
So I mean, it's totally in contention, but there's a lot of contenders.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about it now. We'll have a conversation. The ending of Hell in a Cell. The match between The Fiend and Seth Rollins started off pretty good, and then Seth Rollins couldn't get anything more than a 1 count out of him. And so then he started curb stomping the absolute fuck out of The Fiend. Not going for a cover or anything, just curb stomp after curb stomp after curb stomp. Fiend was getting
Well,
up.
how could he go for a cover? The Fiend was selling everything.
And, well, no, eventually The Fiend stopped moving. And
after like 15 of them,
15 curb stomps, and then Seth went, grabbed the chair as the Fiend was just laying there, and fucking bashed his head with the chair against the mat. Then left the chair on top of his head. Then hit him with the ladder, left the ladder on top. Then started beating him with the toolbox that came out, and a whole bunch of wrenches went flying around. And then he put the toolbox on top of his head.
That was dumb.
Then he comes and gets a fucking sledgehammer, and the ref is like, "Don't do this. You don't know if you'll be able to look at yourself in the morning. How can you fucking do this? Oh my God, Seth Rollins." And then Seth holding his hair, going, "Oh my God, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm doing." He said, "Fuck it." Grabbed the fucking, continue with the sledgehammer, and bashed the toolbox that was on top of the ladder, on top of the chair, and on top of the Fiend. But he literally just hit the toolbox.
Which by the
nothing
time
else
it made
fucking moved.
its way to the Fiend, completely lost all of its impact. But
right, 100% that chair shot was
that's
more
neither here nor there.
That
I
chair
suppose.
shot was more deadly than that fucking sledgehammer. So then the ref stops the match. Not a DQ. He didn't disqualify Seth.
But it was confusing because didn't the announcers even think it was a DQ for a minute?
We'll get into that. Give me a second. Let me finish the end. So he stops the match. And again, everyone who's watching this is like, what?
Thinking DQ.
There isn't a single fucking person that thought the match was just stopped.
Yeah.
They thought Seth got DQ'd from using the sledgehammer inside Hell in a Cell.
Very confusing.
So as the EMTs are then called down because the ref throws up the X, and they come down, and then Seth's still standing over the Fiend as the fucking EMTs and everything. And then the Fiend gets up and he puts the mandible claw on Seth. And then in the middle of the ring, and then the chaos is ensuing, blah, blah, blah. And then outside of the ring, fucking the Fiend pulls up the fucking the mat, and he hits Seth with the Sister Abigail, and then he puts the mandible claw back on him, and blood spewing out of Seth. Oh my God, that's fucking carnage. And Hell in a Cell goes off the air. We get no type of information from the announcers. We get no type of information from the referee. We get nothing. We just think Hell in a Cell ended in a disqualification. And it didn't, because eventually on WWE.com, they say that the match ended in a match stoppage.
Yeah, like the next
by
day
the
or
referee.
something.
Yeah, by the
Because
referee.
everyone was so mad that it was a DQ, they're like, no, it's not going to be a DQ anymore.
I think they just made that up overnight.
No, because if you pay attention to the match, when the ref did call for the bell, he just said, "This match is over. It's done." So again, yes, it was a match stoppage. They didn't use that as we have to get out of this DQ thing. The ref did say, "This match is over. It's done." He didn't say Bray win. Yeah, you're right.
Never articulated referee stoppage.
Nothing. So let's talk about the end of this match. Joe, yes, I want to know your exact feelings when it was the last 10 minutes to the finish of that match. What were your feelings? What was going through your head as you're watching this?
I just thought it was all dumb. That's literally all the first. I mean, even to start the red lighting, I did not like that at all. It was hard to see. I get that it brings some ambiance to Bray's character, but
Not with that guy.
I don't like it. I don't like it. Yeah, and the cage is red too. It's just like really hard to see. Anyway, and then, I mean, you could see where he was going with all this. Like, you know, Bray Wyatt, who I'm sure if you look at his win-loss record, it's on the negative side. Now all of a sudden, he's like Wolverine in the comics or Superman, or is just unstoppable. Like
he sold less than the Undertaker.
He's like no-selling like 12 or 15 finishers, and
he's a juggernaut, bitch.
And then, you know, and then the weaponry starts to come out, and I'm literally watching this, and I'm not like freaking out or like getting all pissed or like, oh, this. I'm just watching it, and I'm literally saying to myself out loud, I'm like, this is just dumb. This is stupid. And it just kept going in the direction that I thought it was going, which was dumb and tickle butt. And it just like, Bray's never been this badass before ever.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's a very easily beatable character. Now he's fucking, Juggernaut, Superman. I was like, okay, you're establishing that Bray's just this superhuman monster. So, how are you supposed to boo Bray if he's a heel, if he's that badass? You're just really making Seth kind of look like a bitch.
Right.
Which is, he's already been kind of looking like a bitch for a while now.
He's very meh.
So I don't know what that really fucking did for anybody except for make both of them and the company look completely fucking stupid.
Incompetent. They look very incompetent at the end of that fucking match.
The wrestlers or the company?
The company as a
company.
whole.
Yeah. So, Naz, what were your feelings on watching this match and the ending?
Also not a fan of the red light.
I actually did not mind it. I liked the red light a lot.
I liked it at first, but like as the match goes on, like especially if they're gonna have like a long match, it does get old pretty quickly.
And the cage is red, dude. That's
well, the cage being red actually
that's
bothered
double
me more
red.
than the
It's
red
like
light.
2 reds you're looking through. You know, like
as far as the ending of the match, it was like WWE had backed themselves into a corner by not putting the belt on the Fiend. And it was like they were scrambling and didn't know what to do, and this is like the best idea that they could come up with in a short amount of time. And if that is the case, then I'm okay with it because you didn't know any better. But if you actually sat in the war room and this was the ending you came up with,
it's the ending one guy came up with, and you know that.
Okay, fine. That's fine. I'm just saying, like, if this was like
doesn't matter if it's a war room. At the end of the day, it's one guy that made that call.
Fucking war room. We'll get into that later.
Yep.
Creative team, whatever you want to call it. It's just one guy making that fucking call.
It's whatever.
It's one guy.
I was kind of mad because I was one of those fans that thought it was a DQ. So I'm sitting there, you know.
So you were like every other fucking fan in the world that was watching that match.
Yeah, because I was real smarky about it too. Like, how the fuck are they gonna have a Hell in a Cell and there be a DQ? Like, the fuck? Like, that's the dumbest shit ever. I was literally mad. I didn't even know it became a stoppage. I just realized like
because
the
they
next
didn't
day,
say it till the next day.
It's WWE, so fuck it, whatever. They're gonna do whatever they want, still make money. It was dumb. It was one of the dumbest finishes I have ever seen, and I've been watching wrestling for a long time.
Smitty, how are you feeling about it? Move over to your right a little bit. That's
your other right, Smitey.
This is why he was late. He kept making left turns.
He made a left
Actually,
turn at Albuquerque.
My Uber got pulled over.
Yeah, we had a conversation about that already. Continue to talk about this match.
But yeah, so I was watching the match. I was at work. I felt like this is just typical WWE at this point. I go in with an expectation. No, I go in with an expectation. This time it was not a high or low expectation. Just expectation for them to have a good match. And
it wasn't high or low. It was just an expectation.
Wait, I'm confused. Typical WWE. So that we started off that pay-per-view with one of the top 5 matches, maybe top 10 matches of the year, right? So is that typical WWE?
Within that week, for sure, because they always all that week they started hot and just everything.
No, that's not what typical means. Typical doesn't mean what's going on in a week. Typical means this is an overall type of consensus of what's happening. So your overall type of consensus of what happened in WWE is possibly one of the worst match finishes of all time.
Not typical then.
Okay,
Wrong
yeah,
word.
I was like, so typical.
Wrong word.
That's why I was really confused by you saying that. It's like, no, because let's be very honest. Until Hell in a Cell, no Sunday WWE pay-per-view was bad. They weren't great. They weren't amazing, but they were all good. Like, you could all go, man, no, that was a good pay-per-view. WrestleMania was a good pay-per-view. Fucking Money in the Bank was a good pay-per-view. Fastlane, good pay-per-view. Elimination Chamber, good pay-per-view. Nothing spectacular, but nothing that you were like, man, that fucking sucked. But at Hell in a Cell, outside of the Becky-Sasha match, everything else was meh, and then the ending of it was absolute
I thought
shit.
the Chad Gable and Corbin match was actually decent too.
All right, another good match. So we had a great match, a good match, all right matches with some little filler fluffer stuff, and then an absolute shit ending. I will honestly say, that ending, because that pay-per-view was meh to me, even though I had to start off with a great match. Everything else, I was like, man, I'd probably give this like a fucking 6.5, 7. It's not bad. And then the ending of that made me go, no, this is like that was so bad.
2.
No, it dropped like it was under a 5 because of that. But continue. We're talking about this match. So, Smitty, how were you feeling while you were watching it?
I hated. Once again, I'm one of the people that hated the finish for sure.
I kind of get what you were saying, just about the mindset about typical WWE though, because it's like they, you bitch, you lose faith, and then you start to get a more positive attitude, and like, all right, let's see where this goes, and you get a little optimistic. And they bring you up to a point, and then it's like, smash, bitch, get back down.
Open them cheeks.
Take your fucking hopes and just kill them.
Open them cheeks.
So sorry, go on.
Smitty loves getting raped by dudes.
No, so it was one of those.
Smitty got raped by his own meats last weekend.
If you go to breakingdownthering.com and you go to the official merchandise, use the code Smitty's Meat. You get 20% off our merchandise for the rest of this show.
Yeah,
how do you like that segue? Hey,
I love it. My meat gets people discounts.
All right. Continue.
So, I was one of the people that was upset with the finish. I went into Hell in a Cell looking at it, feeling like it was a blow off pay per view anyway. So I didn't go in with too high expectations going into it. I felt like it was a blow off because they are really setting up for the blood money in Saudi Arabia.
The blood money,
dude. I'm overhearing that. You know why I'm overhearing about Saudi Arabia being a shit thing? Because they made the fucking contract and deal before all the bullshit. When Saudi Arabia had the mentality of it was getting better. Then the fucking reporter got murdered, right? You're in a contract. You can't get out of it. It's not blood money. It's a contract that they put before all that shit when everything looked like it was going on the uptick, and then it took a complete fucking downtick. It's like anyone who bought the stock for WWE right before Hell in a Cell. It looked like everything was going great. And then all of a sudden at the end of it, 12%. But Hell in a Cell still had to happen because it's a contract. So, anyway, continue. Sorry, I just had to fucking cut you off.
But it still felt like it was I felt like the way that Raw SmackDown were molding before Hell in a Cell, it was like they felt like Hell in a Cell was a blow off for Crown Jewel.
No, Hell in a Cell was a blow off because everything was going into SmackDown the Friday before.
Well, that was
there's a reason the fucking other matches on that show weren't made until 3 hours before Hell in a Cell.
Well, you mean till the kickoff? Pretty much.
No, 3 hours before Hell in a Cell at the WWE Now thing on Twitter and social media. That's when it all came out. Because it came out an hour before the cutoff for Pro Wrestling Scorecards did those matches come out. Then the only thing that changed on the kickoff show was
Natalia.
I think that the kickoff show was Corbin and Gable. Natalia was announced as a pre-show match. But continue. We're again. The ending of the match.
The end of the match, I got into a debate with somebody about how last year's Hell in a Cell ended with before Roman Reigns and Braun even got into the cell, and Lesnar comes in and beats each other. My argument with that was okay. That makes sense because the bell never rang when it came to Lesnar and when Lesnar interfered.
What?
Well, Reigns and Strowman last year.
Yeah, they were having a match. What are you talking about? The bell never rang.
Well, that ended with an interference. That was not even. So that stoppage actually made sense.
No, because it's a Hell in a Cell and it's not supposed to just stop.
Stopping the match in a Hell in a Cell where there are no rules doesn't make sense.
But it made more sense than
Both of them. I mean, if you're telling me which one made more sense, no, they both made absolutely no sense. The psychology of both stopping a Hell in a Cell match when
I agree 100%, but I'm just saying if you're gonna stop a Hell in a Cell match for anything, stop it for interference.
Or stop it because, like, okay, in Seth Rollins' case, where he's taking the sledgehammer to the stack of shit that's never going to impact Bray Wyatt, but whatever.
All right, Smitty, just keep on. Go talk this match. Stop going into side stuff. I want to hear this match stuff. Ending of it, during it, things like that.
During the match, you've already protected the stomp so much, over the last couple matches, you've not protected it, and now it just seems like it's not really a finisher anymore. That was one thing that bothered me during the match.
Wait, how have you protected the finish when Brock Lesnar had to take like 3 or 4 of them?
Over the last few matches, you've protected it less and less.
All right. Because Brock Lesnar is different. Brock Lesnar, of course, will take 3 or 4 of them. But Seth has finished, Strowman. But in regular matches, Seth has finished it with the stomp. To be very honest, the most protected finisher in WWE history is the fucking Dirty Deeds from Dean Ambrose.
Or the End of Days from Baron Corbin.
No. It's been kicked out of.
Wahoo.
I'm trying to remember. I remember it happening and me going, holy shit, someone kicked out of it, and then the second one worked.
Cena kicked out of it as well.
Well, that's different.
But again,
Cena's up there with Lesnar where he can take 2 and it's still believable.
But again, even Cena would take a Dirty Deeds and go down in 3. It's stupid. Anyway, continue. So we're sidecasting way too much already.
I was bothered with that during the match. Just kind of like Z said, the ridiculousness of like the stack of shit that taking a sledgehammer to wouldn't hurt.
Who the fuck is Z?
Oh yeah, this masked son of a bitch I don't know anything about.
Smitty's Meats, 20% off. BreakingDownTheRing.com. Smitty's Meats, 20% off.
Next week's code will be #wrong.
If I would have ever been able to find the font, we were going to have a shirt that said Wednesday Night Wrong in the old original Monday Night Raw font logo. And it was going to be Wednesday Night Wrong. I just could not find the fucking font. It was all about Smitty.
I want my own t-shirt.
Yeah, maybe you'll actually buy one of our t-shirts then.
Well,
you're the only one who hasn't.
Believe it or not, no, last time I tried to buy one, my account went into the negative.
Anyway, I'm going to go into now my thoughts process on this. Hell in a Cell made no fucking sense in that final match. You are trying to build your face. Seth Rollins just beat Brock Lesnar twice on your 2 biggest pay-per-views in the fucking world, right? He just beat Brock Lesnar, who is your golden child, at WrestleMania. Right off the bat, quickly. Then an injured, hurt, beaten Seth Rollins beat Brock Lesnar at SummerSlam. So now
then Braun Strowman.
I don't give a shit about that. That doesn't matter. Braun Strowman he's a monster, whatever, but Brock Lesnar is where WWE's money is. Braun Strowman hasn't been where WWE's money is for the longest time.
So Brock gave him the rub twice.
So twice.
And once
so basically,
he was injured.
He is the guy. He was your number 1 pick in the last draft that you had. You have been building Seth Rollins as the guy in your thing ever since the fans shit all over Roman Reigns and Roman went out with cancer. So now you need someone who's a workhorse. Ambrose left. Rollins is your guy. Period. They have put their money on Rollins for the last couple years, especially in 2019 with him going over Brock Lesnar regular and then completely fucked up and injured, because remember there was that promo before on Raw before fucking SummerSlam where Seth's laying down on the ring going, I gotta beat Brock Lesnar. And then he fucking beats Brock Lesnar at SummerSlam. That is your money boy. That is your golden boy. That is the person you're paying $12 million a year for random appearances. And Seth Rollins went over on him twice. You then put him in a match with The Fiend, the fucking greatest character in wrestling right now. The Fiend is one of the coolest fucking things. Everyone was talking about the Firefly Funhouse. fuck. Even Joe was like, those Firefly Funhouse is pretty good when they were going on, right? And then you have the character of The Fiend, the mask hits, and everyone's like, holy shit, that's fucking slick. And then the way everything's put together, his WrestleMania entrance, his entrance at Hell in a Cell. The Fiend is one of the most talked about, coolest fucking things in professional wrestling right now. Top 2, him and Orange Cassidy, in my personal fucking opinion. So, because of that, you now have him go into a title match. You don't want to take that belt off of Rollins. You don't, but you have to. I said it on the show last week. The only way Hell in a Cell works, that match works, is The Fiend walks out with it. So then Seth Rollins is getting no-sell jobs, which is fine by me. I'm all right with the no-sell. It builds the character, like Joe was saying. He went from this character who is just losing all the fucking time to he needed to be established as some serious dominant fucking thing.
But this is like Mick Foley in a sense where this is just one of Bray's alter egos, and this one is fucking amazing.
Right, but that's great. Yes, that's a good look at it. But again, like I said last week, because of the past of Bray Wyatt, because of the loss after loss after loss after loss of the I will never put anything on this person's shoulders ever seemingly type mood from Vince McMahon, Bray had to win this match. He didn't. And on top of him not doing it, Seth Rollins, it was getting 1 counts from everything. So then he curb stop. And I get it. Seth's like, I'm going nuts. I have to try and put this person down. He's kicking out after 1 off everything, no matter what he's being hit with. But then eventually the Fiend stops moving after the curb stops, before the weapons are being pulled out. Seth doesn't go for a fucking cover at all, in any way, shape, or form. So we don't know that Bray Wyatt is going to continue to kick out. The Fiend is going to continue to kick out. He may have lost right there, but the crowd is fucking turning because they see it. Right? Oh, sorry. The crowd was turning earlier. He hit another curb stomp, and then, he kicked out, and then curb stop. Now he's not moving. The crowd is really fucking on the side of Bray Wyatt, booing, knowing what's going to happen. Seth then stands over him with a chair and fucking one-man concertos his head to the fucking mat in a devastating chair shot. Unprotected chair shot. Chair straight to the head. They don't do that in WWE anymore. Well, they did this time.
I mean, he mostly hit the mat, though.
Yeah,
right. But at the same time, the perception of
it,
the
sight does not see.
Yeah, so we know, like, if you're a little kid, my 10-year-old watching it, she goes, oh, and that's again, we have to remember that while we're the marks,
intent is that he hit him in the head.
While we're the marks, and we'll pick anything apart. Way it
the intent.
Comes across, yeah. And then he fucking used the ladder and left it there. And then the toolbox and went flying over it and left it there. Then the sledgehammer. Seth Rollins doesn't look like your babyface anymore. Seth Rollins looked like someone who's legitimately lost it. And especially to the fans now, no one gives a shit. People are already starting to be meh on Seth Rollins. But Seth Rollins in that match completely went off the rails. He looks unhinged, bad. He is not your money boy anymore. Because what you just did to Seth Rollins in that match with the way he acted, right? You Roman Reigns the fuck out of him. That was a fucking Royal Rumble winner moment.
I think it's a little different because
I need more water.
Roman Reigns is like a force down your throat thing, but this is like they're weakening Seth. They're showing that like he's not strong of character. He's not mentally strong. He's cracked. He's weak. That the character of the Fiend has broken him.
Yes.
And that's not how you want your top face. Your face should be, not unaffected, but it should be able to pull through this somehow,
Yeah, but
he's not. He's not.
I'm gonna fast forward real quick because obviously the Fiend was drafted to SmackDown. So assuming Rollins stays on Raw, this feud is over regardless.
No. And we'll get into that. I see where you're coming from, Joe. I completely, you're right. That's but you're still killing two things. You hurt any credibility. I don't give a shit if Bray got up. Because when Bray got up, let's say the match was stopped because, oh my God, the safety and the health of this competitor, blah, blah, which the referee released a fucking statement on Tuesday saying that.
Yeah.
Let's say that was it. Okay, because of why wasn't the match restarted? You have had Hell in a Cells where people were thrown off the top of the cell through a fucking
Almost
table
fucking
with
died.
fucking teeth hanging out of them, getting stretchered out. And
It
that
was a
guy got
different
up, climbed
time.
right the fuck. Doesn't matter. That guy climbed right back up because that's a fucking memorable moment.
His
And it's
tooth
something that is.
went through his nose once. He
It's something
went
that has
back
defined
up
that
food
match.
And
shit.
then there's something, it's also something that, yes, it defines that match. Very right, Smith, because it's always going to sit there. So if you always have these top moments of this match, and then this guy is allegedly being put
they're
on the
not
stretcher,
willing
but
to
gets
go
up.
to that level of real violence nowadays, though.
But I'm not talking about the violence. I'm not talking about what I'm talking about is that match stopped because this dude needed the health and safety of it. The other match was
psychologically,
but hold
yeah,
on, let me,
nothing.
So the other match was supposed to stop and didn't because Mick got up, right, and went back and then went to the top. So why the fuck wasn't this match restarted? We can't say that fucking the health and safety of Bray Wyatt was in contention anymore because the motherfucker was beating the shit out of Rollins.
Maybe it was the health and safety of Rollins because he was, internally bleeding.
Sorry, Siri. No,
from the mandible claw.
Not until the fucking mandible claw. But before that, when they were
Internally bleeding from the mandible
but they were
claw.
fighting in the fucking ring before that. He was getting this Sister Abigail. That fucking match should have restarted. If you're trying to use this as your goddamn excuse, yes, it's fucking stupid. It's fucking everything about the end of that fucking pay-per-view was dumb, including every fucking thing they tried to make sense with it afterwards. We all agree.
Psychologically, it's fucked.
Yeah, and that's the problem. If things don't make sense, I'm not going to buy into it. It's the reason I have a
was a
problem with
rookie.
AEW because matches are just going on and things don't make sense. It's the reason we've all had problems with WWE the last few years. When things aren't making sense, we're just like, what the fuck?
Yeah, just like with AEW and the whole
Keep going, I gotta get
referee's discretion, it doesn't make sense, and it's like, what the fuck? Like, I want shit to make sense. Like, I invest just as much time in the storylines as I do the actual wrestling because it's all part of wrestling.
Is it weird?
So if the
that
storyline sucks but the match is good, it still kind of sucks.
So is it weird that Impact actually makes more sense than both WWE and AEW right now?
No, it's supposed to, and I've watched Impact. Impact is one of the
Are they
companies-
doing? Are they still like? Because their first show on Access, it was like just like old footage.
Yes.
Are they doing live
They're
stuff
The
now?
end of
officially-
this month is when you're going to get weekly shows.
So it's still just old footage.
Yeah, it's an
It's
old
right
pay-per-view now.
after Bound for Glory.
Yeah. Right now they're building their audience on Tuesday nights, and then they're going to give you their shows at the end of the month. I think October 29th.
October 29th, right
Yeah,
before
'cause
It's
Bound
like
for
I
Glory.
said in the chat. I want to support all these companies, but God,
It's a lot.
It's a lot.
So
And
let's
Impact's
move on.
getting so good.
We're going to move on now from Hell in a Cell.
to Raw.
But the final thing that we're going to say about Hell in a Cell is remember Pro Wrestling Scorecards. They are doing the digital thing now where you can get codes if you go and talk to some stuff. I'm going to talk with Daniel. I think we might have a few codes that we're able to give out. Maybe we'll get something going out before this Survivor Series that's going on here November 24th. We're doing that at B-Dubs, downtown Detroit. Buffalo Wild Wings. Again, our huge party, second floor, giveaways, whole bunch of fun stuff, all kinds of greatness going on at the downtown Detroit Buffalo Wild Wings, November 24th for Survivor Series. Go to our Facebook page, facebook.com/BDRcast. Check out our events, and we put it right there. Tell us you're coming, man, because more people we know coming, the more stuff that we can go out for. Because if we only think 20 people are coming, we sure as shit aren't going to go get a whole bunch of great prizes like another WWE title belt. Let us know you're showing up. Now, yes, Cody. Cody Shaver says Hell in a Cell ended in a train wreck, and we fucking agree, even though train wreck is a great fucking beer from a Michigan brew. The Wednesday Night Wars and all of the ratings are coming in now, right? AEW's premiere is done. It's their second week. Their second show, I mean, for the most part, was better than the first show. Let's not. I bury what I want to. We bury the things that don't make sense about AEW. We can never take away from a lot of stuff. The match of the night was more than likely Private Party and Young Bucks for AEW. But if I'm honestly putting,
I really like the main event too.
Yeah, the main also really good. If we can't keep, we're not going to keep shitting on AEW just to shit on AEW. But there's a lot of things that still don't make sense to the point where now your announcers are getting into it. Ever since Double or Nothing, which is the first fucking show AEW put on in Las Vegas, we have had a problem with the officiating with AEW. And it was never more blatant than it was this week when Tully Blanchard attacked Jon Moxley right in front of the fucking referee, and nothing happened. Not Tully, get the fuck away. I'm going to let this match keep going. Nothing. Not a goddamn thing. No DQ, no removal of the manager at least. Just it kept going. That being said, if there's anything I want to do and give credit to with the officiating, it's Aubrey and Bryce. Bryce is the bald guy who did a couple matches, including the main event on Dynamite, and Aubrey obviously is the female referee. They're both loud. They're both vocal. You hear them doing countouts, telling people to get back in the fucking ring and things like that. They are in the middle.
Yeah, they're
in
aggressive.
The mix.
They're
Yes,
up in
and
the performers' faces.
Yes, they are very, very good officiating, and I think every other official needs to take heed from what they're doing. Because you can shit on the bad,
So
but
is
you
the
have to.
first DQ going to be somebody pushing a ref?
But that's the thing, man. And that's where this is going. Is like we said, the more sense this doesn't make, the more ridiculous the first DQ is going to be.
Yes.
And if it is for pushing,
It's going to be like a heel turn for a ref, like straight up. The first ref that calls a DQ on basically anything at this point. Because, I mean, I've seen Jon Moxley come in and drag Kenny Omega out of a match and put him through a glass coffee table, and that wasn't a DQ.
Yep.
So, I mean, what are they going to have to do? Throw Braun Strowman in a fucking
It's the
garbage
same
truck?
thing like in New Japan when Minoru Suzuki drags a guy out through the crowd and beats the fuck out of him with a chair, and Red Shoes is just standing there with an idiotic look on his face.
Or almost every ECW referee as well.
Well, ECW is no rules.
Yeah.
I mean,
ECW
they established that.
Yes.
Yeah, ECW, that ref was there to make a 3 count.
Yeah.
Yep.
And put gloves on and take care of somebody's
They came
blood.
right out and said that up front. I got no problem with that.
Like even NXT this week on their show, right? During the title match, wasn't the title match?
Leo Rush versus
Leo
Gulak.
Rush, the NXT Cruiserweight title match, which I think may have been the match of the night.
Oh, that was that one.
On for both shows, I think Leo Rush and
NXT's been excellent, dude.
See, I like the tag team match better than I like that match.
So
Also
in
like
the middle of
Roddy.
that match, the announcer says, Morrow says, in NXT matches, title matches, you can only win by pinfall or submission. There's no disqualification. You can't be DQ'd. You can't be counted out.
There must be a decision.
NXT title matches. That's last week on Friday Night SmackDown, not the current one, the week before, where Kevin Owens and Shane McMahon were in that ladder match.
I didn't know.
They put that the rules of the ladder match on it.
Hang on a second. I didn't even know there's no DQ in NXT title matches.
It may not have been before. It may not have been before, but it was definitely now. So, but either way, they're establishing rules. AEW, and we beat this fucking thing with like a dead horse, but AEW hasn't established anything to know what follows as rules. But when you're a casual wrestling fan, which is what you're trying to bring in, people need to know how to follow this. And if it doesn't make sense, which it doesn't to me, and I'm not a casual wrestling fan, if it doesn't make sense, people are going to tune out. And it's never been more evident than what happened this week with AEW's ratings. Last week, AEW opened with a 1.4. This week, 1.018. They dropped.
You knew there was going to be some drop off.
I understand that there's a drop off, but here's the thing. So NXT also dropped 100,000 viewers because the last week they were at
900,000.
900,000. This week they were 800,000. So yes, there was still a drop off there, but NXT started off their opening fucking week started off at a 1.1, right? Now they're at an 8. 0.8 if you're so that's a 300,000 person drop off from their first week to now. AEW dropped 400,000 people in 1 week. 1 week. That's a problem. You can but we beat the NXT. I don't give a shit if you beat NXT.
I think that
NXT hasn't lost as many fans as you have in 1 week in their entire USA run so far.
I think that 400,000 is your casual fan. I mean, honestly, it's, oh, what's this? This is on? Like, let's watch this. Oh, okay. This doesn't make sense to me. Onward and upward.
Right.
They could have not been impressed by AEW's first show. Yeah. I wasn't.
Most people weren't.
They
hit
hit
it. It wasn't spectacular.
They hit a double.
Yep.
When they needed 100%. To hit a home run.
Yep. That's exactly. Man, that's exactly what we said last week. Put it in baseball analogies. However, this week I'd say they hit a triple that almost wasn't inside the Parker.
Yeah, it was much better this week.
Jericho cut a promo that was scathing. We aren't next, we're now. That's the first shot that he took. Then during the We the People chant, he let it go. He's such a Jericho move. Let it go, and he was getting all the cheers because then he goes, it's a stupid idea from bad creative, and it's gone now. Fans, oh my God, yes, 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 yes. And then he said, and Dusty Rhodes sucked. Boo. God, Jericho took you. Oh, God, Jericho's so fucking good. Jericho is the epitome of mic work right now. It was spectacular. If you're not watching AEW because it doesn't make sense, watch it when Jericho's on there because it doesn't matter. Jericho's spectacular on promos. MJF, spectacular on promos.
And he put every one of his people over properly.
Yep.
He's
a Mexican god.
Yeah.
Man, Santana and Ortiz, I'm just so glad to see them on a bigger stage right now.
Right, and then, dude, he put Hagar over. He made Hagar more big than fucking We the People did. He literally said he's in MMA right now, and he's undefeated, which means he's the most dangerous man on this roster. And you're like,
and then he
there's a single undefeated MMA person.
That makes sense.
Yeah, like there isn't a single MMA undefeated person in any type of wrestling until now with Hagar. Joe, so you were talking about you didn't like last week, but you did like this week. Tell me what you didn't like and what you thought improved very well for AEW, because you weren't here last week.
What I didn't like or what I did like?
Didn't to what then improved to made you appreciate the show more.
Didn't like from the first week?
Yes.
I did not like the women's title match nor the ending of it. Like if Nyla Rose is supposed to be your native beast and like a monster, why does she need to resort to like using a chair against a 90-pound
wet
Joshi girl?
That match didn't even look right.
And I'm sorry, I still stand by she's like a PR move because she's not a very good wrestler at all.
Yeah, I can't argue that.
The first show is not even fresh in my mind right now, so there are other things I'm sure I could complain about. But what I liked about this week's show was obviously the Private Party Young Bucks match. I mean, Spot Monkey Fest, yada yada yada. But like, I like that stuff. Like, I like, good stories and psychology, but I also like the Spot Fest too. Like, I get both sides of it.
Yeah.
So I like both. And if you're watching it thinking like, oh man, like these guys are just like having a half-hour blowout for the Young Bucks to win, that would kind of suck.
Yeah.
But Private Party won. So it was like a total like rub for them, huge. So it was like, it meant something. It's a big win, and it was an awesome match.
I'm just proud of the Montez Ford and Angelo Dawkins being able to work NXT and AEW.
Right?
Thank you so much.
They're two Montez Ford. Just no Angelo Dawkins.
They're
Private
like
Party.
They're like the rated R version of the Street Profits.
That 40-ounce vodka cran.
Yeah,
that was nice.
Continue, Joe.
So yeah, opening match, great. Little, like you said, psychology issues with the Mox and Sean Spears match. Still a pretty decent match, though. Main event was super fun. I love watching Dustin Rhodes in the ring. Even the schmaz at the end, everybody coming down the Young Bucks. Darby on a skateboard was pretty cool.
Move.
I was thinking when I was watching that, I was like, man, he would love the new Raw set.
Yeah, right?
Fuck it. I was like, man.
Do a half pipe.
I was like, man, he'd do some damage with that on Raw. But it was just a fun show. Much better. Like you said, I think that was, if we're going back to sports analogies, I think you got it right when you said solid triple, maybe even in the Parker this week compared to last week's double. Double if they're lucky.
Smitty, you also didn't make it last week because you got pulled over 5 times before getting here.
DWB, man, driving with black.
I was walking down the street. They just pulled me over.
How did you feel about AEW last week and was there improvements, or did it diminish itself a little bit more in your mind this week?
I feel like last week they did try. They were just so nervous they tried to do too much, and some of it kind of backfired.
Sorry. I didn't like the opening match sparked my memory with the Sammy Guevara versus Cody Rhodes on the
Really?
first. Yeah,
That wasn't a bad match at all.
I thought it was a good.
I thought it just went on way too long, and I think Cody should have beat him quicker, like going into a title match against Jericho.
I think they
While
also
I
go-
would agree for the most part with that, after seeing what they did with Guevara, setting him up into the
Inner circle.
it made sense that he gave Cody a run for his money because he couldn't look weak and then all of a sudden be in a top stable. No one's gonna fucking believe you.
I'm not saying like squash week, but I think
No, I think
it was like a little too competitive.
All right. Well, again, I think it should have been if
I
you're
kind
trying to establish.
I
that
disagree
guy.
with that because like one thing I knows about AEW, they're giving these kind of people that you're just now seeing a little bit more of a. They're giving them a lot of a rub, like guys like Sammy Guevara.
Well,
guys
yeah,
like
you got to
Private
set
Party.
these guys up so people believe in them in the future.
So that's why I kind of disagree with what Joe just said there. Like I thought the first opening match was good, and it gave a good rub to Sammy Guevara.
I just felt like even as
Especially when
watching it, I was like, man, this is going on too long. It needs to. Let's wrap it up, guys.
Continue.
Week one, I felt like they was like his analogy was good. They hit a double or they were looking for a home run. But it was I wasn't as upset as some people were about the opening week. This week, I felt like AW finally got their feet in the water, figuring out who or what they're going to be.
Mm-hmm.
Still got a problem with the officiating for the most part. But I think that's the only thing I've really been able to bitch about with AW. I was watching AEW with my landlord.
Hot landlord.
Yes.
Hashtag hot landlord.
On Wednesday, and that's, like honestly, we both agreed that the one match that kind of bothered both of us last
She
week
likes wrestling. Hotter landlord.
was the Moxley Spears match. Some of it made no sense, and then just it felt like a typical finish. WWE finish.
If we're honestly nitpicking, which we do, the referee there was a few times in the opening match too that there was no count being told to get back in the ring with a Bucks and Private Party as well. But again, it wasn't as prevalent in that match. You know, if you go back and rewatch, you're like, oh yeah, there's a couple missed. But the fucking Tully Blanchard hitting Mox in front of the ref, like, dude, that's not even. It's so
blatant that
it's so stupid that something didn't happen because Jim Ross literally said the referee's doing a great job being lenient here. I'm like, oh, what a shot at the ref!
What's he gonna say? You know,
right? Yeah, like
he's
got to
say something.
Yeah. Nas, your thought on AEW this week?
Top to bottom, I liked it all.
Would you say it was better than NXT this week?
Yes.
Yeah. Wow.
Yes, I would.
Okay.
Last week NXT by far, even though like the ratings didn't show it, in my personal opinion.
Oh, blew it out of the water. It's way better.
This week NXT was a bit stale for me.
Really?
Other than
Dream's promo was fucking great.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah. See, like even the Dream promo being off. The Leo Rush match good. Good match.
Of course, the in-ring work of NXT is always going to be.
Did we notice a little something with that?
Swerve was good too.
Real quick, they call it the NXT Cruiserweight title now.
Yes,
and the 205 is gone.
It's not. It still
happening.
They
still have the show.
Yeah, it happened after SmackDown this week.
But now it's the NXT Cruiserweight title.
Yeah, but they
are they like absorbing 205?
Yeah, to an extent, and that's what Triple H said. He goes, "We're bringing the title into here because obviously it gets more play on NXT, and he can do
now
more
that
with
it's
it.
on USA." Yeah,
but and at the same time, now Triple H is controlling both brands. He had 205. He had.
They should just make him into one brand.
Which is slowly. I think that's slowly because what is going to happen. 205 will disappear into
Yeah, I forgot about even mentioning
a lot of the guys will go to UK or NXT.
I forgot about even mentioning 205 in UK with the amount of hourly content that WWE puts out a week.
Sorry, it's mine.
Oh, okay.
Cody commented, he said, AEW improvement from last week for sure. Definitely still needs improvements, especially with announced team and referees, but I feel like in time they will get to where they need to be. That's another thing that we have had issues with AEW as their announced team. However, this week, I thought the announced team was a lot better. Excalibur, it seemed toned down a little bit more. You heard more Shivani. JR seemed like he was running the show this week.
As he should be.
Yeah, we agree.
That was the very first thing I noticed is how much better. And it was better timing between JR and Excalibur.
Yeah.
Because a lot of it seems to be the lack of communication between the two of them on like when somebody's going to speak and the other one's not. because then you'll hear Excalibur, and then it'll almost seem like JR is making like a cheap shot because he's just trying to get a word in. And this week felt so much better. Like they're starting to figure it out.
That's it. They're trying to get their feet in the water and figure out what they're going to do.
Especially if it's this 3-man booth.
I'm still trying to get you or accept Excalibur. I'm not that big on him yet.
I wasn't either. He does seem to.
I know he's very knowledgeable.
He's wearing on me just because he's
almost a little too like nerd on like the smarky nerdy side. Just like
shows like Matt Striker mask.
What's that?
Kind of like
Gimmick
Matt Striker.
infringement.
No, I liked Matt Striker's style a lot better actually.
You know what? Z, I agree with you. I think AEW as an
speaking
overall
of
product.
Speaking of announcers, Taz is supposed to be a guest
on
announcer
Dark.
on Dark this week.
Oh, nice. What was awesome this week is I agree with you, Naz, that AEW overall, like, of course, the in-ring work is always going to be better on NXT. Those guys and girls have been with each other and have the performance center to work it. But overall, the feel, the fun, I had, even with the major, huge referee botch that I fucking hated, I agree. I thought AEW was the better of the two this week.
I mean, my only complaint would be that in the Moxley match with Tully and the fact that Shane Spears lost. You didn't hear JR call him Shane Spears?
No, Shane.
Right before that match there. It's like halfway through the Private Party Bucks match when they do the little blip like Fox used to do. And it comes across the bottom of the screen, and he called him Shane Spears.
Nice.
I was like, oh, way to fuck that up. But then they end up burying him even more.
Right.
My other problem was the fact that the winner of Jimmy Hammock.
Yeah,
and,
that's his name now.
and
he's so relaxed.
Him and Darby Allin the winner gets a title shot, but then you got Pac, who's undefeated, and I'm glad they brought him to commentary and touched upon that, because when they did that, I was like, okay, I'm not mad about it anymore.
And that's the other thing about AEW. We've always said, it, again, has to make sense. And if Pac is 2-0. Why are these guys fucking Darby Allin? I love Darby Allin, but he got a winning record after winning that match.
Yeah, he's got a 2-1-1 now.
Yeah, he's 2-1-1 now, and he's going for an AEW title shot. Like,
right?
It doesn't.
And now
make
Jimmy
any
Hammock.
No, it's named now. It's his name now.
Jimmy Hammock is now 0-2.
No, he won. He won.
He won at All Out.
Mm-hmm.
He
Triple Threat.
Yeah, and the Cracker Barrel.
Yeah, remember?
Okay.
And then he went in the back and just laid in his last name.
But it makes sense Cody's going because Cody doesn't have a loss in singles competition.
Okay. Cody has a loss?
Not in singles competition.
That's
where
and Pac's undefeated. I mean, I don't think there's anybody else that's undefeated.
Right.
Unless it's a new talent.
Moxley.
Mox is 1.
Yeah, but you said undefeated in general.
Yes.
Didn't
it was an unsanctioned match. Did not count for wins and losses.
Oh, okay.
NXT. You mentioned the Roderick Strong. The Roderick Strong Velveteen Dream promo on Roderick Strong. You like that, Smitty?
I thought it was funny.
You thought that? I thought that was so fucking cheesy.
I thought it was funny, and especially what Marina Shafir did on Twitter the next day.
I like, when the NXT crowd was against it, and Marina Shafir, and she quoted the tweet. She goes, "Damn right, he's not small like that." But it doesn't change the fact that that was so cheesy. It felt like a Vince McMahon promo.
Yeah, that's exactly where the fuck I was going with this.
But then also the match before that, where it was a.
I don't care about the match. I'm talking about the promo. We've already said that the matches are great on NXT.
I thought it was funny, and it was something just kind of.
How did you feel about that promo, Joe? Was it tickle butt to you?
Dude, I don't even remember it, honestly, because I wasn't paying close attention. I was
fair.
I was distracted while watching that.
Again, that's points more to why AEW is better, because we can talk about AEW left and right, but the NXT this week, I mean, again, if you're grading the shows, AEW would be the A+, and NXT is the A. We're not saying it was bad. We're just saying that we had more fun with AEW than NXT. Now, moving on to SmackDown, we're probably going to fucking ignore Raw. Moving on to SmackDown.
The creative did.
Fuck yeah. Well, let's be very fair. SmackDown on Fox was the beginning of the draft. You couldn't really do much of anything with Raw. But the main problem with Raw is they ignored the problems that happened the night before until 2 hours and 47 minutes into your show. That's when they mentioned the main event of Hell in a Cell. They didn't talk about Hell in a Cell until the beginning of the third hour.
They didn't want to turn the crowd
that's
out.
when Becky and Charlotte were coming out. So they had to talk about something for Hell in a Cell. And they talked about those two matches, Charlotte winning her 10th title and Becky winning the Hell in a Cell match, retaining the Raw Women's Championship. Hell in a Cell was basically ignored. If you watched Raw, majority of the time, the fans in that arena were sitting with their arms crossed, not barely into the fucking show themselves. So you can't, but at the same time, yes, they ignored it too much. You know what I'm saying? It's like, they were like.
They try to sweep it under the rug.
Right. But even Raw as a show was swept under the rug, just like you said, Joe. Like they didn't even put any real effort into that show, and I bet more than likely it was because of how angry people. Dude, people were canceling their WWE Network subscriptions and posting it, screenshots on Twitter. Like, fucking cancel WWE Network was trending number 13 the morning after Hell in a Cell on Twitter. It was popular, and people were doing it. People were pissed
Hell in a Cell
about
wasn't trending. Hell in a Cell wasn't trending. Nothing was trending from WWE besides cancel the network.
Yeah, Raw didn't trend at all during the whole entire show. You did see on SmackDown and WWE Draft. Now, speaking of SmackDown and the WWE Draft, let's talk about this. So the first match on SmackDown was Roman Reigns representing the blue brand and Seth Rollins representing the red brand. Winner of the match, your show, got the first pick in the draft. The Fiend comes up and gets Rollins, interfering in the match. Therefore, Rollins wins by disqualification. Now let's talk about the drafts. Round 1, Raw got Becky Lynch, the OC, AJ Styles, and Gallows and Anderson, and Drew McIntyre. SmackDown got Roman Reigns and The Fiend, Bray Wyatt. Round 2, Raw got Orton, Ricochet, and Lashley, and SmackDown got Sasha Banks and Braun Strowman. Right now, this is seeming like regardless of you getting AJ and Becky, it's seeming like SmackDown's winning this with the superstars. Then round 3 happens, and Raw gets Alexa Bliss, Kevin Owens, and Natalya, while SmackDown gets Lacey Evans and the Revival. Revival is basically what they got. Round 4 happened, and you got Viking Raiders, Nikki Cross, and Street Profits for Raw, and SmackDown got Lucha House Party and Heavy Machinery. Now, we talked a little bit about it at the beginning. Nas mentioned it. The Fiend and Rollins seem to continue, even though The Fiend is on a different show. It was drafted to SmackDown, so it could, because Rollins wasn't available to be drafted yet. But at the same time, neither were Heavy Machinery.
That was really dumb, too.
I'm all right with it.
Lucha House Party is the only one I was kind of confused about.
The draft pool, you were done.
I get it. I mean, I don't have a huge problem with it because, like you had said in the chat, this is wrestling. This isn't the MLB draft or the NFL draft. This is wrestling. So really, as long as they stay consistent with how they draft year to year, they can do basically whatever the fuck they want to. As far as the draft pools, it just seems kind of dumb to me because if there wasn't a draft pool, Becky going number 1 overall means more than there being draft pools where certain people couldn't be selected. So who's to say Seth wouldn't have been the first selected had Seth been available?
100% in agreement. We were going back and forth with another wrestling podcast on Twitter. If the first 2 picks, right, the first Raw pick and the first SmackDown pick, you could pick from anybody, and then every other pick had draft pool, okay, that's fine. You know, because then that number 1 pick and number 2 pick really, number 1 pick for each brand, take a shot, because it's like not everyone's available.
Technically.
Yeah. So I 100% agree with that. If at least the first pick for each show was from anybody, and then the rest of the picks were from these specific draft pools, it makes more sense. I agree wholeheartedly with that. That's
WWE
incredibly good
about
point.
still.
It doesn't matter if we're talking about WWE. What we're talking about is something that you're trying to make a presentation of sports. And so I get the draft pool, but those first 2 picks take a shot on how much they mean when not everybody's available. If you're really trying to get Becky over as the number 1 pick, make Brock Lesnar available. Make Seth Rollins available. It's like, no, we want fucking Becky.
Then she was the number 1 of all, everybody.
And then pick number 2, Seth and Brock aren't available. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's like, and that means more because Becky was still available in draft pool number 1, but you still took her even knowing you weren't going to be able to get Brock or Seth in your second pick. Dude, that makes Becky look so much bigger.
Yep. And no, you're absolutely right with that, because then it would have made that match mean more too, because then your first pick is anybody. So whoever gets that pick, then your second pick is limited, and then your third, going into the third pick, you're limited even more.
Joe, you were talking about this in the chat a little bit, the draft. Do you feel that this hurts in any way either show with how this was coming across, including the cheesy war rooms and everything like that?
I don't think it hurts show specific.
The cheesy war rooms do.
What do you think it hurt? Do you think it hurts anything?
I agree with you on the draft pool subject. So there's 2 number 1 picks that like devalues to tremendously. And that's also, like I said, it's just basically because, it's a supposed battle between Fox and USA. And so, Monday, USA needs to have monumental draft pick moments also. Mm-hmm. So they need a number 1 and 2 just for the ratings of that show. So I think it kind of like hurts just both shows in general in that aspect.
Smitty, we were talking, obviously the Fiend interfered in that match, and it seems like something might have been continuing. Now, Jay Glazer had a moment on the show where he came up saying that there's possibly a blockbuster trade. So it's very possible that the Fiend could go right back to Raw. Something going to happen on Raw where Raw gets the first pick, and all of a sudden you said we'll give you the Fiend if we get the first pick, so we get the next 2 picks, because they want to get Brock, but Raw win, you know what I'm saying? So something like that. But before Jay Glazer said that, you're first looking at this going, oh, the Fiend's on SmackDown. This doesn't make sense again. You're making 2 things in a fucking row between Seth and the Fiend. Make absolutely no sense. How were you feeling about that when it first happened?
When Bray got drafted to SmackDown, I'm praying it's like, if he stays there, I hope he stays there so we can just end this, because WWE already backed himself in the corner with booking Bray and Seth in the first place. Mm-hmm. So just end this and just keep Bray over there and give Bray a natural fresh start and on SmackDown.
Isn't the Fiend his fresh start though?
Well, it is, but like at this point, you've already backed this character into a corner with this Rollins thing.
So you're continuing to bury Bray Wyatt. Nas, is there any saving grace for this guy now?
You can bury Bray Wyatt as much as you want to, as long as you don't bury the Fiend.
You bury the Fiend.
Not really.
Him not winning is a burial.
But he didn't lose either. The ending sucked. Don't get me wrong.
Strong.
You're right. So I mean,
Bray Wyatt as a person never wins in WWE. The one WWE championship he won was a straight transition that no one really cared about. That most people go, oh yeah, that's right, he was a WWE champion.
They popped for him and then he lost it at Mania.
So in the entire history of this performer, not just the character version that he has right now, he has been thrust into a main event scene to where the fans have always wanted him and been behind him, and then WWE's like, Can you honestly get excited for this character anymore? Me personally, I don't think I can.
I still will.
That's why I say keep him on SmackDown.
The reason why is because, again, he didn't lose, and he didn't look weak in the calling of the match. Like, he took 15 curb stomps, got hit with the chair, blah, 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 and still ended up whooping Seth's ass. And we talked about it. The match should have restarted. It would have made more sense, but that's not what they did. So in the end, the Fiend doesn't look weak, which I think winning the match and looking weak would have been more hurtful than him looking strong in what is ultimately a draw or a no decision, no contest. And I think as dumb as it sounds, I think at that point was the best option they had without taking the belt off of Seth. Because like you said, Bray not winning is going to hurt everything. And it did. And even the way they did it by him not losing but also not winning the title was really dumb. But I don't think it hurts his character. I think if they... I mean, I guess I got to see what they do with it from here. But so far, I mean, The Fiend is undefeated technically.
Joe, you have been a huge proponent of, the loss record of Bray Wyatt and how you were like, I just can't believe in this character anymore. And then you said it yourself. They did a 180 trying to build this thing, make him look super strong out of nowhere. Are you able to still possibly think WWE might get behind this character?
Yeah, they'll continue to try to get behind him, but they'll bumble and fumble along the way as they have been.
So, but do you think that the Fiend will ever be a top main event draw for WWE? Because right now he's selling fucking merch like crazy.
To some extent, he already is, isn't he?
He is a draw at this point.
He's the biggest as of the end of Hell in the Cell. He's probably number 2 to Becky as babyface, even though he's not supposed to be a babyface. The way that match ended, Bray became the number 2 babyface overnight.
When I say with WWE being a draw for WWE, I don't mean in the fans' eyes. I mean, will the powers that be put him in winning situations to where it stays like that, or will they continue to do what they've done with him in the past, and that is, we know you like this guy, but he's going to keep losing, and eventually you're going to stop caring so much.
Bischoff and Heyman actually have a say, like people are saying they do.
You can tell by watching.
Yes.
You can tell by watching their programming that, dude. When I'm watching Monday Night Raw, I'm not feeling like that's Paul Heyman booking. All right.
Some of the matches, yes,
but
some
a little bit
no.
here and there. But if you want overall, no.
The booking of Ricochet and Cedric Alexander on Raw are the two things I see Heyman's prints on at times.
Dude, they've fucking killed Cedric Alexander. What are you talking about? Like, they beat him bad like 3, 4, 5 weeks in a row.
Yeah, but there was always been 3-on-1. I mean, it doesn't look terrible.
Cedric looks strong until the OC goes in and beats the shit out of him.
And he's also getting TV time, and he wasn't getting TV time before. So again, like he may be losing matches, but he's on TV every week. Is it really a burial? The more TV, the time the guy gets, the more money he
more than
makes.
Buddy Murphy, that's for damn sure.
You get more than Buddy Murphy and Drew McIntyre.
But if you make someone, if you beat someone a lot and make someone look weak on TV every week, then yeah, you can still be on TV and get buried.
I don't think you look weak if you're getting beat 3-1. Like
it's not always 3-1 though. He's been in situations where he gets beat 1-on-1 and then they kick the shit out of him more after the match.
But he's also losing to AJ Styles, who we all consider the best wrestler on the roster, hands down. So having competitive matches with AJ is a rub in itself.
Yeah, I'll give you that one.
And look, do I wish Cedric was getting more wins? Sure, 100%. But
I do.
Like Nas said, huh?
So I do.
But like Nas said, it's literally, I can't, AJ isn't going to drop that title, and that's the start of the program for Cedric. So hopefully something else with Cedric works to where he becomes a more prominent feature, but we have to see after this fucking draft.
Or maybe he starts his own 3-man faction to go head-to-head with, you know what I mean? Like there's different storylines you can do and still build him up as a character.
Him with the Viking Raiders, because that seems like that's what they're going that way.
So back to this draft. Joe, who do you think is the winner of the first night of the draft between the shows, Raw or SmackDown?
Probably SmackDown.
All right. Why do you think it edges out?
Just the name value.
Okay.
Star power.
All right. Smitty.
I think Raw, because there was a couple picks on that SmackDown side. I felt like you could have waited.
Raw has Becky Lynch, the OC, Drew, Randy Orton, Ricochet, Bobby Lashley, Alexa Bliss, Kevin Owens, Natalya, Viking Raiders, Nikki Cross, and Street Profits. SmackDown has Roman Reigns, The Fiend, Sasha Banks, Braun Strowman, Lacey Evans, The Revival, Lucha House Party, and Heavy Machinery.
That Lacey Evans and that Lucha House Party, the Lacey Evans and Lucha House Party picks, I get they were in the pool, but there was one of those things like
Natalia and Bobby Lashley.
Okay, that will. I'm a fan of Bobby Lashley. I don't like what they're doing with Lashley, but I am a fan of Bobby Lashley.
Yeah, but if Rusev doesn't get drafted to SmackDown, what are they going to do with Lashley? Just
Raw,
end that?
Raw.
Yeah,
you're going to take the black segments.
What?
You're going to continue the Lana and Bobby Lashley black segments.
Wow.
What a sloot.
What is it with WWE and just like completely humiliating their talent? Like,
you see my young cucks?
yeah, dude. It's like, and then now what? You got Kanellis, Rusev, fucking Shorty, Gable. Like,
oh please don't! Cause I fucking hate the fact they're running with that bullshit.
All right, Lana, we're gonna make your character based on your strengths.
Take your bra off. Nas, who do you feel won the draft first night?
I guess in like your heavyweight division, I would say SmackDown, but for the women and tag team divisions, definitely Raw so far. I mean,
actually, I won't say tag team because when it comes to tag team,
Raw has 3 women and SmackDown took 1.
Right. So now there's only Sasha.
Mm-hmm.
So sweet, you're the best because you're the only one on our team. No, but I'm just saying, like, it seems like the way it's going, Raw's gonna have the better tag team division and better women's division, and SmackDown's gonna have the better heavyweight division.
Oh wow, I didn't even think about this. So you had the draft pools. So we'll the draft pools for one, Heavy Machinery got pulled out of the wrong draft pool. Heavy Machinery was supposed to be on Monday's draft pool. They were drafted on SmackDown. So the SmackDown, the SmackDown, which, tell me if this sounds familiar to you as I'm reading off the names. The SmackDown draft pool was Becky Lynch, Roman Reigns, the OC, The Fiend, Drew McIntyre, Randy Orton, Sasha Banks, Ricochet, Braun Strowman, Bobby Lashley, Alexa Bliss, Lacey Evans. Does this sound like anything? Like, this is the pool they put out, and it's the exact fucking order they drafted these people.
Right, so what's Monday's draft order?
Oh, yeah, I was going to get into it. But so then the Viking Raiders, SmackDown champions, Revival, Natalia, the Street Profits, Lucha House Party, and then Cesaro. The only one right now that's out of order is then Kevin Owens. Humberto Carrillo, which is the other NXT star. We talk a little bit about that. Street Profits and Humberto are the only ones on NXT, although Humberto's more 205 now. Akira Tozawa, again 205. Sin Cara, Eric Young, EC3, Chad Gable.
Thank you.
Heath Slater, Drew Gulak, B-Team, and Tamina. That was your Friday SmackDown draft pool. The Raw draft pool,
and some
I don't know.
Some of those people went undrafted, right?
Yeah. The Raw draft pool, as it goes, hopefully you don't even know this is how the picks are going to happen. Number 1 is the Seth Rollins, Universal Champion. Number 2 is Brock Lesnar, the WWE Champion.
Oh, look at that.
SmackDown Women's Champion Charlotte Flair. Titus O'Neil. He's not going to be drafted top 4.
Want to bet?
Shinsuke Nakamura, the Intercontinental Champion. Aleister Black, New Day, Daniel Bryan, Bayley, Luke Harper, Eric Rowan, Miz, Ali, Corbin, Elias, Ziggler and Rude, Samoa Joe, Kabuki Warriors, Rusev, Cedric Alexander, Rey Mysterio, R-Truth, Carmella, AOP, Machinery, Apollo Crews, Andrade, Liv Morgan, Jinder Mahal, Buddy Murphy, Mojo Rawley, Noe Jose, Dana Brooks, Shelton Benjamin, Kurt Hawkins, Zack Ryder, Iconics, Sarah Logan, Fire and Desire, Mandy Rose, Sonya Deville, Drake Maverick. Obviously, it's a 3-fucking-hour show, so they're going to have a lot more picks on this show. But what's crazy about this is let's talk about who's not listed for these draft pools. You don't have the Usos on there. You don't have the Hardy Boys on there. Sheamus is not on there. Zelina Vega was not on it. Naomi was not on.
So
there.
Andrade's not on there.
Andrade was on there for.
But
Mondays.
Zelina Vega's not.
She might come with him, but she's right now she's not listed as you can
As a
take her
talent.
separately.
Okay, got it.
Lars Sullivan, Lana's not on there. Mike and Maria Kanellis, Nia Jax, Mickey James, Ruby Riott, Alicia Fox, the Colons. Those are people that are not obviously
The Colons are very vital.
Yeah.
Organ to that
You need
organization.
that.
Ronda Rousey.
Ronda Rousey is also not on there. Very good.
Triple H confirmed that
I
she's
mean,
not
quite
on
honestly,
there.
they could do a draft for a month, really.
That's right. But at the same time, if you're undrafted, if you don't get drafted on these shows, you're considered an unrestricted free agent, and you can sign with a show. That's how they're doing it.
Anyone.
Which is
NXT, SmackDown, Raw.
Probably NXT, SmackDown, and Raw, definitely for sure. Obviously, Cain Velasquez wasn't on there. Undertaker wasn't on there. But these are part-time. That's when you say Ronda Rousey, she's also kind of part-time. I don't know if she's coming back after Total Divas.
I actually heard actually Triple
Triple H
H
said she's
just
supposed to come
said
back.
she's coming back sooner than later.
Really?
Yeah.
So she didn't get pregnant.
No,
She tried her
that's
best. She's got to stop swallowing, man.
Why?
She wanted to get pregnant. That's why.
Take the cream pie, lady.
That's right.
No, cream pie won't get you pregnant either.
Second porn reference today. We're not even talking about wrestlers' names.
So
we could talk about Brazzers Twitter.
Brazzers
tweet
Chew.
tweet to the WWE and Hell to Sell for our third
Blue
porn
Chew hit
reference.
him. Blue Chew
you know
hit
how
him
to
as
get a
well.
good finish going.
That's right.
So that being said, with the draft, the people who are drafted, so on and so forth, I think that right now it's kind of a draw, and it's only because of
Who gets what
we
champion?
We've known that Raw is going to get. I think they said they did the draft pool, and Raw is going to get. I had it listed for how many each was going to get.
So
3 to
Shinsuke
2.
Nakamura was not drafted, correct?
Nakamura is not available till Monday.
Okay, because I was gonna be really mad that if they didn't draft their own Intercontinental Champion to at least one brand.
Right? Yeah, he's not available till Monday. A bunch of the champions aren't available till Monday.
The only champions
the Universal Champion, WWE Champion, the women's SmackDown Women's Champion, the Intercontinental Champion. Only the U.S. and the Raw Women's Champion were available for draft on SmackDown.
And it was SmackDown tags.
Are they going to have another opening match on Raw to see who gets the first pick?
Yes, they already announced that. I didn't look.
Becky
and see
versus Sasha.
Becky versus Sasha.
Yep.
So Sasha's repping the blue band.
Yep.
And Becky. Okay.
Yep.
Sasha's going to win.
Blue hair, blue brand. Red hair, red brand.
And that's
Make it easy.
Sasha's going to win because they're going to take Brock to SmackDown first.
See, but Brock is not listed number one. Seth is.
Yeah, Seth is. Seth is listed.
And they're putting stock into Becky. So I really think once again we're going to have a repeat of, but it's going to be a clean finish.
But again, if I could see that, I could see Becky winning, and then SmackDown doing that trade of you can have Bray Wyatt, but we want the number one we want the number one pick, and then we're going to take Brock. I could see something like that happening. That would make a lot of sense. And
it
honestly,
gives you that sports draft.
Yeah, and that gives you the real sports feel about it, especially if you're doing trades and stuff like that, man. It makes you feel like you're watching some sports show. Now, we've talked about the draft, but we haven't talked about how good SmackDown was as a show, especially your main event. The SmackDown Women's Champion was on the line as Bayley got her rematch with Charlotte. As Bayley comes out, she has the things go up. She's got a fucking hoodie on, and you're like, why is Bayley rocking a hoodie? And then all of a sudden she pulls the hood off, and I'm like, oh, she doesn't have a ponytail, right? And then I realized her hair was fucking short. I'm like, oh. And then Bayley picks up a fucking axe type thing and fucking murders the Bayley buddies. Now, I'll be very honest. There's been a lot of talk about this, and the first time I heard it was on Busted Open. It was something Bully said when everyone was thinking Bayley made her first heel turn when she joined with Sasha. And they were like, Bayley needs to come out and just destroy those Bayley buddies, get new fucking music, everything. Because right now she's in pure face mode. I think the build of Bayley's heel turn was great.
Oh no! See, this was literally the culmination of what started when Sasha came back.
Right. And it's a story that built. They didn't just give it to you. It wasn't a fucking cum shot right off the bat. It was a fucking
no money shot.
Yeah. It built to where you were like, that was a satisfying end. Joe, you saw Bayley come out Bayley then won the championship back from Charlotte, and then got on the microphone and said, "Screw all of you." 100% going
Well,
full.
first she called them all bitches.
She said, "I don't need you bitches."
Sorry. How did you feel about the main event, the turn, the full on Bayley, everything?
I think I said it on our show. I know I've said it in conversation before, but when everybody was saying that, as Smitty referenced earlier, like, oh, when people were saying Bayley turned heel when she teamed back up with Sasha or whatever, like, I was saying, well, she's got some heelish tendencies, but
right
in my mind, she can't turn heel until she loses that entrance. And that's what we got. And so that immediately I was like, all right, I'm liking this now. I'm liking this a lot. And then just her facial expressions, her demeanor, she pulled it off perfectly to the T.
The crowd bitches.
The match itself was physical. It was a great match. I mean, busted Charlotte's nose open.
Her fake nose?
You know, Bayley's got a great elbow drop, much better than CM Punk's. And yeah,
it's real fun to
and
take
then completing of the heel turn after the match with the shots at the crowd. 9 out of 10. Great.
Awesome.
Great job.
Smitty, how did you feel about that?
Somebody get me a cigarette because I love Bayley already. This is just, I feel like her heel turn is the best thing in WWE. It's just Io Shirai's heel turn right now.
Oh, so good.
And it was like I said earlier, it was a culmination that has been building up. Honestly, when she was feuding with Sasha and talking about "you ain't shit," that's when we kind of saw hints of what come to be, pun intended. And it just finally happened. And like, somebody get me a cigarette because like I'm pretty sure I creamed my pants.
Well, because
let's
be honest here. I mean, Bayley was awesome in NXT. I mean, and, you know, her and Sasha had that legit match of the year contender a few years back. But has any one of us, like, really given a fuck about her at all since she's been on the main roster?
When she first came up, we were all real high on her.
Well, that's just the first call-ups.
Right.
You know,
even as it was going on, and then when she got the title, we were all like, man, it feels like they're dropping the ball
and they
hard
did.
with
They
Bayley.
did.
And they.
So... And I said it when I watched it. I'm like, well, this is the most interested I've been in, and like the coolest I think Bayley is by far since she's been on the main roster.
Yeah,
this is the coolest version of Bayley. It's long overdue. So yeah, it's perfect. It's where she needs to be.
Fresh start for a fresh era in the WWE.
So let me ask you: is this a Bischoff move, Joe? Do you think it is?
I don't think so, because from all things I've read is Bischoff's not really involved with the creative end as much as Heyman is.
Which is weird because that's what the fuck you're there for.
No, he's supposed to be there because he's like a really great TV guy, and you know he can be kind of like a
producer
liaison between WWE and Fox.
Okay.
So he's more of like a boardroom guy.
All right.
So I don't know that he has or even wants as much creative input as Heyman. So I don't think that's a Bischoff thing.
I think it's more of a Triple H thing. Like I said, the comparison to Bayley and the Io Shirai turn, there's a lot. I feel like there were similarities. That's what I think. That is a Triple H move, if anything.
I have to admit, I was watching. I watched the last half of SmackDown at work because I go to work at 9 o'clock on Fridays for the most part. And so, like I said, I was watching this on my phone, and she comes out, and I'm just like, "Oh, Bayley's dead. Oh, fuck. Oh," and then the match, and I'm just like,
"Have you seen the kids' reactions on Twitter?"
Yeah, I am seriously very happy overall with the finished product of what they've done with Bayley. Now, you've built her as probably your best heel in WWE because she's officially got real heat. Like, it's not go away heat. Like, Corbin's much better than what he was.
Has Izzy made a statement yet?
Who?
Izzy?
Is he? Oh,
Bailey girl?
Oh.
Has she come out publicly and made a statement yet?
Somebody. She's actually supposed to be. She's actually on the indie scene right now, apparently as well. She was on the indies during the summer, supposedly supposed to be a heel, and then she made a whole statement about the women's tag titles and being proud of Bailey.
Yeah. So Bailey's biggest fan, Izzy reacts to her heel turn. This is from Ringside News. And she goes, I really hope that Bailey keeps up with this character because when I make it to the WWE, and I will make it to the WWE, I'm going to show everyone, and I mean everyone, who the true role model is. Oh, what a great little promo from that girl.
What is she,
like
12, 13 or something like that?
That's apparently she was on Busted Open the other morning. And it was so probably Saturday because Busted Open does Saturdays now. So, well, anyway, yeah, I think that this was a great pull, and I can't think, and like I really said, I really feel like she probably is the best heel. And that's just a fucking one match and one promo after it, and the reactions, and that really garners a lot of stuff. Nas, how did you rate the main event of SmackDown, including Bailey's full entrance and finish of calling everyone bitches and saying screw all of you?
It's about time they got the Bailey heel turn correct. I mean, they've been trying it and it just wasn't working. And I mean, everything about her character had to die.
I don't think that it was not working. I think that this is what they were building to.
Okay.
At certain points, I feel like they didn't.
Joe's actually defending WWE creative right now. It's kind of weird.
Wait, what do you mean they finally got the heel turn correct?
They did it. They went back and forth with her and Sasha, and they tried to turn her heel originally.
I don't think they were going back and forth,
hold
man.
on, wait. Are you talking this current run with Sasha, or back with like during
when they were trying to figure out what to do with both of them?
Yes.
Oh, all right.
Before the women's tag.
Yeah, I agree with you, Joe. When I thought he was originally talking about this little thing with Bailey as well. Okay.
No, I'm talking about grand scheme of things.
I thought you were just talking
when
since
they first tried.
Sasha's been back.
No, I'm talking about the original.
Like you ain't shit.
8 times that Bailey turned heel, but
then
quickly
the one time
went back
that
to face.
Bailey beat the living shit out of Sasha.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so that's where I'm stemming from.
Okay, that makes more sense.
So it was refreshing to see her basically come out and kill her old gimmick, just kill it all, like the balloon people, the wacky waving inflatable tube men, and
they're Bailey buddies on WWE, wacky inflatable tube men on Family Guy.
Okay, Al Harrington, calm down.
No, I'm pretty sure Morrow called him that when he was still on
Saxon used to
Someone
do it.
called it that.
Saxon used to do it.
Who? Dio Madden?
No, they don't have the same chest.
It sounds the same.
Yeah.
Byron Saxon? Dio
You know,
Madden,
speaking of which, Vic Joseph does kind of sound like Michael Cole. Anyways. I liked it. It was a great way to end the show because I wasn't like going into a draft show is kind of like going into a go home show. I don't expect anything, and going in with no expectations, I was kind of blown away by the end of it because it was a great match.
We also had the New Day versus OC match on there. Obviously, Seth and Roman and Corbin and Chad Gable. I can't do it.
I can't either.
What?
It's still Chad.
Dude, I can just
He's
like
the Chad.
because in my mind I can hear like I can pretend being Michael Cole and I can just hear Vince. No, say it. Short. When we come back from break, immediately call him Shorty.
So
You're not saying Shorty enough, goddammit.
Fuck, he's the Chad, goddammit.
Here's what's crazy.
The Chad is awesome.
A couple months ago, WWE took out a trademark for Shorty G.
Are you serious?
Dead serious. And so conversation of this going to happen was rampant for about a month, and then it never happened. And then the minute Corbin called him Shorty, he was making all the short jokes. I'm like, this is really going to go there, isn't it? And then he said, I now dub thee Shorty Gable. I go, fuck, they're doing it. Because there's a goddamn trademark for it. And then Michael Cole still called him Chad Gable at Hell in a Cell. And now his entrance video says
His
Shorty
graphics
Gable.
say Shorty Gable.
The graphics on the screen, and I'm like, and it's all because Chad Gable at the end of it, at the end of that match, call me what you want. I don't care. Call me Shorty. It's fine. Call me the winner of the match. You know, he did that.
I don't think that mattered at all. They were going to call him that, whether he said that or
going
not.
Forward, anything Corbin dubs people, is that what their entrance music is going to change to?
I don't know.
Like that's his kingdom?
But what I'm saying is the minute Chad said, "Call me whatever," is the minute it went solidified for sure. You know what I'm saying? Like, yes, you're right. You're probably going to do it anyway, but let's have Chad say that so it doesn't look as bad and it doesn't look like we're just the WWE is ripping on him. But it still looks like the WWE is ripping on him. And it's a real problem for me, not just because I think it's a stupid name, but the dude's a fucking Olympian. He's a fucking workhorse in your ring, and you're mocking him.
No,
like,
but he's probably one of the best in-ring guys they have.
So
right
now I have to ask this.
It's very childish, the thought process behind it.
Is this worse than anything they may have done to another character?
No.
Michael Bennett takes the cake on that one.
But this is bad because I know that the thought process is, and I'm sure I don't even need to mention where I think it's coming from. It's
good shit.
Yeah. Is okay, we're gonna bully this guy. Yeah. We're gonna continuously make fun of him for being short. We're just gonna short, bully, and somehow through all that, he's gonna get a win here and there, and he's gonna get over. God damn it!
And then
he's not.
And then he's gonna be your star of your star program.
He's not. That's not gonna get him over.
Let me ask you a question with this. He won on Hell in a Cell.
He won on SmackDown.
No, he didn't. He lost on SmackDown.
But he won at Hell in a Cell. First pay-per-view you've seen Chad Gable on in a very long time. And he won. Sure, he lost on SmackDown, but
he won on Raw via DQ.
Isn't that kind of putting him over?
He's on It's all about TV time, because here's the thing. If they're getting more TV time, they're getting more money. Like, that's just the way
just because they're getting more TV time don't mean they're getting more over, though.
I agree with that.
But I think Gable's actually getting over. Like, the crowd is behind him. Now, how quickly will the crowd get sick of this? Because it's the same shit. Oh, you're short. Okay. If you can't expand on this, then it's a one-trick pony, and it's only going to be over for X amount of time. And then you got to do something else with Chad Gable. No matter what you do, whether you have him lose because he's short or you have him win because
they're
he's short.
not going to do something else. They changed his fucking name, for Christ's sakes.
Not fully yet. We're still waiting.
It's on his graphics, dude.
We're still waiting for the Gable to go away and it'd be
Shorty G.
Yeah. Not fully.
Then he comes out with a backwards hat and some. They're giving him the full blown angle.
Either way,
this is like the beginning of Bailey's
the Shorty name is sticking with them. Yeah. They changed his graphics.
They're going to give him that small cowboy hat.
So they are sticking. They are sticking with your one trick pony.
Yep. Worked for Angle, though. I mean, Angle got it over. Gable's going to come out chugging milk with a small cowboy.
So, and that was my next comparison. Kurt Angle in his Hall of Fame speech said, "Don't be afraid to make fun of yourself, because it'll be better for your career than anything else if you're able to run with it."
All that stuff was funny and stuff with Kurt's career, but my favorite part of Kurt was Kurt kicking the shit out of people.
Right, I agreed. Anyway, let me finish my statement, and then this is going to you, Smitty. I'm going to ask you. So Kurt says this: don't be afraid to have fun with your career and do the weird stuff, be awkward. We've already made many comparisons for Chad Gable to Kurt Angle, especially with the ankle lock and everything, the Olympian, so on and so forth. Amazing in-ring talent. Do you think that this is Chad taking that, and possibly then could this be maybe the move back? He'll go back to Chad Gable, like he'll have a wrestling match fight for Chad Gable to be his name again. And if so, does this get Chad Gable to the echelon that Kurt Angle was? Main eventing, winning championships, so on and so forth.
I feel like this is just Gable taking what he's given, trying to make chicken salad out of chicken shit.
Yeah, I agree with you 100.
And like, I hate the fucking gimmick. I refuse to call him Shorty Gable. I refuse.
Hey, so
It's another one of those WWE tag words that they say these words that they want to describe things and they drill them into your fucking head.
So you're saying there's no possible way?
No, I'm not saying there's no way he can get this thing over and get.
I'm not even to get this thing over. Get himself over.
Oh no, he can get himself over because the guy's great. Yeah, he can get himself over with, because he's a great performer. Honestly, I'm not gonna say he's not the best. He's a decent guy on a stick, and his work will just speak for itself.
You like men on sticks, don't you?
No.
It's like, no, I like being the men on sticks.
But I think this is like he's gonna run with this and get as far as he can with it.
We're closing out the show with that, ladies and gentlemen. Again,
Boys and girls, children of all ages.
For 2 more hours, you go to breakingdownthering.com, click the official merchandise banner, and then if you use the code Smitty's Meats,
fucker,
SMITTYSMEATS, you get 20% off your Breaking Down the Ring merchandise order. Again, go to breakingdownthering.com, click the official merchandise button, and you can purchase a hoodie, a shirt, and using the code Smitty's Meats until 3 p.m. Today, Sunday the 13th of October, you get 20% off your Breaking Down the Ring merchandise order. All that being said, thank you so much to everyone who is paying attention to us on Sundays now with our move. We really appreciate it. If you are not able to watch live, listen live, you can download the podcast on Apple Podcasts, and you can subscribe to the podcast on Spotify. We are on all your podcast forms, Apple, Spotify, having all the fucking fun. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for listening. We are your ring crew.
Shorty F and Joe.
El Nazid.
Black Superstar Smitty.
And me, the almighty one, Mikey himself. We are out.